Well, how you doing? This is Doc Brown, Rich Brown here with NGM Matters, episode 5. I am with Ethan Callison, and we talk about being in the house. I'm actually in Ethan Callison.
He's in my house!
I'm in his house. It's Ethan's locker room. So Ethan and I have a lot of history, some great memories.
Yes,
We've been dear friends for a long time. So I wanted to ask you, tell our viewers where you're from, what's your story?
Yeah, I'm originally from Stanton, Virginia. Graduated from a little school, Fort Defiance High School, then went to Liberty, graduated in 2016. And now my wife and I and our little 2-year-old girl live here in Roanoke, Virginia. I am a campus pastor at a church called Fellowship Community Church here. And we I have a heart and passion for next generation.
Yeah. Ethan was one of those students I met in his freshman year that you just realized the heart for God was so deep and so sincere. And he came actually to school to get his youth ministry degree, and he happened to play football. And I remember him talking about that. My calling is ministry. It's not athletics. And sports for you was a tool and a very passionate tool, but yet serving God has always been number one in your heart and your life. So I have asked him to be part of this because I think he's got something very powerful to share. We're going to do 2 segments with Ethan. And this segment, we're going to focus on his own age, which is, those 20-somethings, which is a lot of our viewers. So Ethan, what is something that you're seeing within your generation of leaders, especially in the student ministry lane, that is like a game? They're really bringing it.
Yeah, I'm 26 years old, and one of the things that I've seen is oftentimes those that are my age that graduate with either undergrad or with a seminary degree is you go into the ministry thinking, we know everything and we're going to change and revolutionize the church overnight, right? And so some people would say this, that we're like arrogance on fire is kind of a term that I've heard before. But one of the things that I think that I've seen a change or a shift in my generation is to say that there's a lot of people like Doc Brown who've been in ministry for a while. I'm not going to say a long time because you're not that old, but have been in ministry for a while.
35 years.
And
whoa.
And we see these men and women of the faith and of ministry that's like, hey, I look up to you and I want to learn from you. And although we might disagree a little bit on the pragmatics of things, our philosophy is rock solid. We believe in the gospel. We believe in the church and what the ministry of the church is about and why we do what we do. But we might change a little bit of how that fleshes itself out. But one of the things that just encourages me is so many that I've seen around me is like, no, I want to sit under and I want to learn. I think one of the hot words that you hear a lot is I want to have a mentor and I want to be mentored. I want to be discipled by a pastor before I kind of really go into it. And that's one of the things I appreciate about the church that I get to serve in is I'm one of 7 pastors on staff. And I've had a lead pastor, Ken Ninke, who's really invested in my life for the past 5 years almost now. And has really poured into me and said, hey, I see where you're at now and I want to get you to the place where God has for you. So that's one of the things that's been really encouraging.
So you see a real sense of craving, that desire to have someone more seasoned, steps ahead of them in the walk, just not spiritually, but also vocationally in the shepherding role. And I want to learn from that. And that's something that I've always appreciated in you as well. He still calls me Doc, even though I'm not his Doc anymore. But anyway.
He'll be forever Doc.
Something that maybe be like, yellow flag. That's like, hey, my generation, let's not go down that road. Anything you're seeing that you like, not we're not being negative, it's just like, hey, let's just not go down that road.
I think the one of the things in leadership, great leaders have two big qualities. The first is this, that we have a positive outlook on things. We're just always continuing to think good and positive about things, not to the degree that I know Clay Scroggins, North Point's pastor, he says this, that not to be like unicorns that are farting out rainbows, positive, like those people over the top, but to be a positive person. A red flag, I think, though, is when you start to become cynical, when you lose some of your positivity and you allow maybe some hardships, some heartaches in ministry to change the way that you view things, and you no longer even thinking positive about things, or hey, here's my vision, what I want to see, and you become cynical in ministry, and it's just like, I'm just here to do a job. I'm just here to get a paycheck. No. God has got such a greater calling in our life that if you're starting to become cynical about things and feel like there's no hope for change, there's no hope for a transition, there's not even a hope for the gospel to flourish, then you need to seek some personal revitalization in yourself and some redeeming of what God has for you. So that's a big yellow flag or red flag, I think, that we can see when we become cynical in ministry.
Yeah. No, that's good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Like you talking to your own, your own generation, your own age group. You guys are the ones. Many of you watching these that you're going to a building or to a coffee shop, or however your church operates. Yeah. On a Monday morning, Ethan's with you on this. So, what's like a word of encouragement you could give to your generation?
Oh, I have it. Yeah, ask questions. So many times I come to a table, I've been invited to a table of leadership, and I come with all these ideas, I come with all these thoughts about how I want to change things. But in reality, I need to bring questions. Wow. I need to bring questions to ask people that have been there.
Wow. May I even say, and then have ears to listen.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Don't ask questions like you're one ear up the other.
I'm not 26 anymore. I'm double that plus a couple. But anyway, I remember being, and that's one of the things that I really regret in my own life of being young and in my early 20s was in my passion. And here's a quick, as we were chatting here at your table earlier this afternoon, starting out, my generation graduating college in the 80s, I was blessed to have a university that taught me youth ministry because our school where I graduated was the only one to have a youth major. So I actually did really struggle with that in my heart. And I never said it out loud. My wife never even heard me say this. But in my heart, I really could have that sense of like potential for arrogance of like, I've got this figured out. Yeah. What do these even how I approach parents. And that's a whole other episode.
Yes, it is.
In a good way, because absolutely. Right now, the parents in our student ministry, where I serve as a volunteer, are 20 years younger than me. So, and I love them so much. I really do. But back then, I realized I would think, what do they know about youth culture? I'm 22. I got it all figured out. Just because I knew pop songs, or I knew back then it was Top Gun, the movie. Just because
you were Maverick.
Because I knew Michael Jackson had one glove, he couldn't find the other. This was the 80s. Take on me. Yeah. But that's very arrogant on my part. And I would begin to think people in the church don't get youth ministry. And actually they did. They just didn't have a degree. So I know for me, I look back and go, man, that was pretty bad. Yeah. So I appreciate the fact of you saying to your generation to do that. So, Ethan, can you stick around for another episode?
Yeah, would love to. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, I want to talk to Ethan this next week about these relationships, generational relationships. What are some of the things that we as an older generation, I can't say it now, it is what it is. But how can we encourage you and how can you encourage us? Absolutely. So you guys have a great week. Again, I always want to sign off with what you do matters because this generation matters, because the gospel matters. Psalm 78, let's keep it real. From that generation to the next, the generation yet to be born, so in turn they will teach that next generation the truths of the gospel of Jesus. You guys have a great week.